Alright, so this is the quick review for Algebra 2 and solving right triangles with trig ratios. Alright, so remember, to solve a right triangle means to find all other angles and all other sides. So in this situation, I'm given the right angle, right there, right? And I'm also given a 31-degree angle. And because I know that the three angles of a triangle add up to 180, the two acute have to add up to 90. So angle Q has to be 59 degrees. All right, has to be those two. All right, already got an angle. Now I got some sides to go. So I'm going to call this side side R, right, because it's across from angle R, and that side P because it's across from angle P. And now it's simply going to be a choice of which one I want to solve for first. And so let me do P first. All right, I want to use the 31-degree angle because they gave it to me. And I look and see that the P is the opposite of that 31. And the 17 is the adjacent, and therefore I'm going to choose the tangent. So the tangent of 31 degrees equals the opposite P over the adjacent 17. And if you remember, things on the bottom go to the top across the equal sign. So 17 times the tangent of 31. And just be careful. You can't do 17 times 31 and hit your tangent button. It's 17 times the tangent of 31. So when you punch that in, all right, tangent of 31 times 17, and I get 10.2. And I always have my students round off to one decimal place, right? So round off to one decimal place, and we just found P is 10.2. Okay, so what about R? So again, I'm going to go to the angle I know. And what is R? R is the hypotenuse. What do I know? I still know the adjacent, right? So now I know the adjacent. I'm looking for the hypotenuse, and therefore I'm going to choose the cosine. Right? So the cosine of 31 degrees equals the adjacent 17 over the hypotenuse of R. Now this time I'm going to swap these two across the equal sign because I want my variable to be in the top. So R is going to equal 17 divided by the cosine of 31 degrees. So I'm going to divide 17 by the cosine of 31 degrees, and I get 19.8 for my hypotenuse, and I'm feeling pretty good about that because it better be the longest side. Okay, we just solved the triangle, right? All angles and all sides. Now, let me just make you aware of one other situation. So in this situation, you have two sides, you have no angles. So you have a couple choices. You can get the third side by the Pythagorean theorem, correct? And that would be the most accurate way to get it. And so that's a side. So it's going to be the square root of the hypotenuse squared minus the other side squared. So what is that? Square root of 225 minus 81. And then, you'd have to simplify for there. And for time's sake, I'm not going to keep going there. But that's how you'd get that third side. But what about one of the angles? Well, again, I'll choose one of the angles. I'm going to choose J. And I'm going to use the information they gave me because I don't want to use this side because what if I made a mistake? All right. So again, I'm going to use J. What did they give me? They gave me the adjacent. What did they give me? They gave me the hypotenuse. Therefore, I'm choosing the cosine. The cosine of J is the adjacent 9 over the hypotenuse of 15. And remember, the way to get the angle is to use the -1 button. So it's cosine to the -1 of 9/15. So I'm going to punch that into my calculator. And I end up with 53.1 degrees. So the measure of angle J equals 53.1 degrees. And once I have that, I'll usually, again, because I understand the fact that J and D add up to 90, well, if I used up 53.1, what's left of the 90? What is that, 36.9? Degrees would be the other angle, and there we've solved that triangle. So it's going to be one of those two situations. They're either going to give you an angle and one of the sides like we did in the green triangle, or they're going to give you two of the sides like we did in the yellow triangle, and you'll go from there. All right, solve.